In this video, I will be demonstrating how to use the grid analysis ribbon. Now, if you had not previously applied the grid analysis during the acquisition, you can apply it by clicking on the analysis ribbon right here and under type choosing grid. Or you can also access it through the quick start menu up here and choosing grid right there. So in the new ribbon that appears here to the right of the lab book, this is where you're going to set up the parameters for your grid. Now we obviously have circular spots here, so I'm going to use circle. And this is a 5 by 18 grid, so I'm going to enter in the 5 by 18 right there. And you can then move the grid into the approximate location. And by adjusting the boundaries of the box, you can position the circles so that they are in the appropriate location. Now the spots on here are a little bit larger than the circles, so I'm going to use the increase size of the spot function right here. And you can also rotate the grid. So this is not perfectly square to the image, so if I right click on the boundary, I can click rotate grid and then rotate it until it's in the proper location. And you can also use the arrow keys on your keyboard to do more fine-tuning of the position of the boundary. If you know the exact size of your spots and the separation between each spot, if you click on the options for the grid group right here, you can manually enter in those values in these locations. And you can also change the naming convention. By default, it's A1, A2, and so forth. You can do 1A, 1B, or you can just do simply sequential numbers across the entire grid. The next thing that you will want to do is to set up background. So if there is a spot on the grid that has been designated for background, what you want to do is to highlight that particular spot. I'm just going to pick one here. It can be any number of spots. So if you have several spots, you can highlight a group of them. And when you assign that as the background spot, it will average all of those values to come up with the background subtraction value. So I'm just going to choose this one right here, and I'm going to click Assign. So when we come down here to the tables, we have a grid spots table and a grid sheet table. The grid spots table is a column format for all of the spots on the grid. And if I come up here and I highlight a certain one, you will see that the highlight changes right here. And then we have the signal. Signal is what you will use if you have designated a spot as background. If there are no spots that can be used for background, what you can use is total. Otherwise, if you want, you can also use a local background for each one of the spots. And to do that, you can come up here to the background group and choose median. And when you do that, it will draw an area around the outside of this circle to be used for the background subtraction. But I'm going to stick with the user defined for right now. And if you haven't designated anything as the user defined background, it will not calculate signal. But as soon as I assign that background shape, you will notice here that signal has now been calculated on here. If you want to view the information in a grid format, you can view the total in either the 700 or the 800, and then you will see that they are all laid out in the grid format just like this. If you would like to view the data in a chart format, here on the right side, if you click on this chart tab right here, you need to choose the appropriate chart type. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the grid spots total, and we see that we have this information right here. You can do some fine-tuning with this. So if you only want to view the information from the 700 channel, what you can do is here on the grid spots, if I do a right-click on the channel column and I uncheck the 700, then I'm only viewing the 800 channel data on there. Or if you have a group of spots that you wish to exclude, you can actually highlight the ones that you want to keep. And from there, if you do a selection filter, and the way that you do that is here under filter, come down and you have selection, and now only the spots that have been selected here will show up on the chart here to the right. And if you want to see all of them, come back to filter and say clear selection. And now all of them will be viewable again. If you want to export this chart, here under export, you can save this as an image, or you can copy it so that you can paste it into another document. If you need any further information or have further questions, please consult the help section right up here at the top. Thank you.